Can't really see it right now, but right here where a lot of light will be reflecting off of this lock mechanism, right on the edge is masking fluid, just enough. Okay, so I'm going to do wet and wet technique for now. And then let's go in with some watered down, really watered down ivory black. Before this gets fully dry, I'm going to drop some rust in there, like right here. It's very rusty. But it's also slightly out of focus on my reference photo, so I guess I can't be too detailed. Now I'm allowing, just picking some of it up. Watering some of it down a little more, but not with direct water. Just dabbing my brush off. Okay, let me turn this off while that dries a little bit more. Okay, while we're waiting for this to dry, I could either use a hairdryer or I can start working on other areas where I'm not going to have to put my hand over it. And that can be the masking fluid areas down here. So I bought this because I got tired of trying to rub it off. If you have something that's rubbery, it should work, but I just bought it. And then I cut it in half. The other half is in my travel bag. Alright, that came off very easy. Since I'm still working on this area, I left the masking fluid on there, there, and there. Because I think I'm going to do a little detail work on this before I'm done. And I'm just winging it. At this point, I'm winging it. So for this next part, do the best you can. We're going to do where the keyhole thing is. And I guess it should be in the center. And I'm not too good with the center, but let's just hold our breath and go for it.
We're back, and I am performing some watercolor neurosurgery on an area that needs, just a teeny tiny little area that needs correcting. Here I really believe that I need even darker tones to set in there, and so I'm going to do that. I just feel like it needs to be even darker for some detail in that lock. There. That's better. So I'll let that dry. I know it sounds like, or seems like maybe it's not a big deal, but we want it to look darker, like it's a real keyhole. Alright, so this is just the palette I've been using, this little, right here, and I just cleaned up an area that I was using. I'm going to still keep some of this color in here because I may need to touch it up, and quite frankly I think I want to do even more detail, just a little bit, enough for a concept. And I'm getting close to being done with that part, but I'm going to want some, I'm not sure right now if I want a little bit more blue, but I do know I'm going to have to work some simulated silver looking metal, and I don't want to use silver paint because I don't want to do that. Not for this. So I'm just going to make some more area right here of some, and I might mix some blue in there, just an essence of it, just for little areas, because that's what I see. I may mix some Chinese white and with some watered down ivory black. I'm winging it as I go. Now we're getting into concept and edges and in watercolor world. This is going to be how you're going to finish it on certain things like this. This is really going to start depending on your style of how you want things to look. There's a certain type of, I don't know, like a little bit of an unfinished look to things that I like. I will try to explain it though. Almost borderline, abstract, just a tad. Not a lot. Now I'm going to tip that. Picking it up with my brush, wiping my brush off. Now ever so gently, I'm just making some accents. Just slightly darker than it has been, tying things together. I really do want to make some edging. Okay, so I've decided I want a little bit more, just a little hint of texture. Just a hint of it. It'll be so minor you probably won't be able to tell anyway. And I don't want it all the way across like a set of, jail bars. Just want like hints of it a little here and there. Just ever so gently and slightly. There. Oh my gosh, that worked out perfect. Plus it'll dry, and so your eyes will just see hints of it. I really don't want it too dark because I want this to have like a more elegant look to it, more softer look. And I still have to work part of the fence that the lock is on. But for a card, you can write something really nice across it if it's not too dark. So because this lock part is right here, there's even more shadow cast on certain things. But now I can start working the shadows of the fencing. When people want to follow along, it really helps them to be able to have a photo, a reference photo, and it really helps if they can have access to that reference photo. So what I've done is I've gone to like a royalty-free website, and I do actually acknowledge the photographer or the creator of the image, as well as a link to that same image down below in the description, because that way you can pull it up. And I know some people have trouble drawing, and you don't have to be an amazing artist to want to watercolor paint. So you can use that photo to study. It helps if it's the same photo that I've done and that I've talked about. I'll tell you why, because studying like where areas are shaded, where light comes in, light colored areas, how blending, rust, everything. It helps if you can study that same image. Also, it's going to help you to start looking carefully at the same image and for you to decide how you want to try doing things. All I will tell you is on the original image that's down below, when you look at it, I want you to make sure you see, like on the fencing part, this fencing area, I want you to look at where the light colors are on the metal and the dark colors. So for a card, this is just something that I think is romantic, and when you look at this, you automatically know it symbolizes love and something meaningful. Someone can write a card, something beautiful, or it can be the front of the card. Now, if you'll notice with arches, I never had a problem with buckling, and if it started curling, I just bent it the opposite way, just depending. And I didn't bend it hard, just kind of like work it. So, and down here, I have that non-slip cover stuff. It's like non-skid, non-slip. Just a little bit under my paper so that my paper doesn't slide. I didn't want to tape it down. I didn't want taped edges. I don't always want tape to clean edges. Sometimes I just like it looking natural and flowy. But gosh, there is nothing wrong with taped edges. So I still have some detail to work. I'm close to being done. Now with here, like this area here, this metal piece of the fence, I want you to look at the very, very top edge of it and notice that it is much lighter, much lighter. And then it's almost let's see, a little dimensional. That's how you add depth and dimension. So I'm going to let that dry. And then when it dries, I'll make sure to do an even darker accent down here. And with some of this, I just want a concept. I don't want it exact. I don't want that. This is just how I like it, and that's where I want you to start figuring out how you like it, because that's developing your own style. I'm going to scrape this off and I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. So I've scraped it off. It came off so easy. Oh, thank goodness. I'm going to make a mixture of my rusty colors and a little bit of dark. So have your tissue paper ready to dab. Before I do anything, I think it's okay, but just to be sure, I'm going to dab it on there. And I can already tell it needs to be darker. And I am dabbing it on this little paper. See? Did you see how much that bled into it? Boy, I didn't want that there. So let's just go for it. Let's just see how this goes. And if you have to go little by little, but I'm going to use some of that white in there. I want it to shine through. I went and got some paint, got the excess water up there. And just a little here. Okay. So I could even go darker with some accents here, like this. I don't want to play with it too much, because sometimes less is more. So you could do a painting of this and then frame it and set it on the dresser if you didn't want to make a big one. But you can put your significant other person's initial here. You can put yours and theirs. You can write a beautiful note in script. That's why if you did, you wouldn't want this to be too dark. Just enough. Up here or down here, you can write in pretty calligraphy or script, love lock. It's a love lock, and it represents the love between two people. Watch how easy this is to fix. And it looks natural. It looks like natural, normal wear and tear. And now I'm just going to pull some of that other paint in from the actual original color. Just and on the top it's lighter. I'm just going to leave it at that because I really like it. It's really elegant and my concept is there. I'll probably do a little bit of odds and ends to it, but it's pretty much done. So that's it. These images are pretty easy. And then you just, once they're there, draw your little soft-edged, rounded-edged squares, and then just work on making it more dimensional. That's pretty easy. Or you could start off by drawing your lock, just a great big wide U, and then another line, and then from there you can draw your fencing around it. These shapes are not hard to draw, but you got this. And remember, in the background, add a very delicate, elegant shade of blue. Blend it in with like a little bit of grayish, bluish for background.